All right, testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. Okay. All right, I guess this is working. All right. Can you guys hear me well? Just see. All right, so we're going to continue our implementation of the pickup, drop, and holster system. In the last live stream, we were doing it for working with the pistol, working also with the rifle. We didn't get to the part of the rifle yet, but we're going to do it right now. I'm going to just drop it. I'm just going to create a, as we have the BP weapon master in here, I'm just going to create a child because we don't have a child yet. So I'm just going to move, but firstly I'm going to rename that child to be BP rifle child so that it makes more sense. So I'm just going to move it to the rifle folder in here, like so. In the future, I'm going to just delete this one right here because this is the old one that we're not using right now. I'm just going to close some of these tabs here that I'm not using right now, so that we can open it up later for configuring it. All right, so we can go to the rifle child. Here in the skeletal mesh, we're going to select our M41, like so. As you can also choose to, choose another rifle. This one looks very prototypey, as you can see right here. The only thing I'm going to do here is just enable resize this a little bit. So that it fits the weapon. So that it makes more sense. Maybe something like this would work. All right, now the next thing I'm gonna do is go to the rifle child again, and I'm going to just make sure that the collision settings are in place. So as you can see, it's all great. It's all great. Let me just see PP coding tips. So in my Discord server, we have already the settings saved in here, so that we can use them to take the reference from. All right, so in here on the event graph, actually no, in the class defaults, we can, as you can see, as we've set up on the weapon master, the variables, and if they are in the weapon master, that means that we can also edit those variables inside the rifle child. And those values are going to be in here. So the weapon tag we can choose, as this is a numerator variable that we've created. We have some values in here, so we can choose which type of weapon we're currently working with. So to make the rifle child to be identifiable as a rifle, we're just going to go to the class defaults on the BP rifle child. We're going to select for the weapon tag here, we're going to select the rifle. And here the skeletal mesh root name, we're going to just go ahead and click on the skeletal mesh and see what is the root name of that skeletal mesh. So in this case is root. Sometimes in some cases the root bone name might be different. So it might not be root, it might be like something like rifle. So you just got to pay attention to that. So in this case it's root. So we're just going to copy and paste that name into here. Let's go to the class defaults again. And the skeletal mesh root name is this, in this case is root. Just got to make sure that the root, it's not uppercase. Now the character socket, which means it's the exact socket location of where that rifle is going to be in the character, is going to be, we're going to check it out. It's right in here. So as you can see, if you add a preview asset and go to choose armoury 1, as you can see, the rifle is right here. And if you preview an animation, let's say of the character running or sprinting, as you can see, the rifle is going to be on his back, on the spine, and it all works great. Now I'm just going to go ahead and copy the name of the socket right here. Just double click, copy, and then go back to the sandbox character, not the sandbox character, the rifle child, the class defaults. So in the character socket, I'm just going to copy and paste that name, spine for rifle. I guess that's pretty much everything we got to do in here. Just got to set up the default values for the weapon. And we have the skeletal mesh in here in place. If you have animation for that rifle, you can place in here. So you can select the animation blueprint specified for that weapon. As you can see, I have a variable called play pickup pistol animation, and we pretty much need to set that up as well, because here it's set up. After the delay, we have this code right here to be set up. I'm just going to go ahead and paste that in there. This could be play pistol pickup animation, as we have only the ability to pick up. as we use the same animation for picking up the weapon as we use it for picking up the rifle, we don't really need to worry about this right now. But in case if you have different pickup animations for different weapons, you need to specify which kind of weapon you're picking up, which means that you need to have special booleans for that. I think in this case we could name it to be play pickup weapon animation. I think it makes more sense as we're using the same pickup animation for all kinds of different weapons as we use the same animation, so it doesn't really matter for now. And as we're in the prototype phase, we don't need to worry about playing different animations for making it look nice. So we just need to make it to work. All right, I guess the part where we left off was from this part in here. So we have made this macro called weapon identifier, which basically gets the master class of the weapon. And then from this code right here, we basically find what is the real reference that we need to get and promote it to a variable based on the reference from where the box tray is detected. And now from here, it tells pretty much which weapon we have identified. So we got to do some small changes in here. So I think we're going to have to delete this code here. So I'm just going to delete that and move this to here just to compare the differences. So here we pretty much do the same thing. We play the foot direction. It works great. We block the movement input of the player. And then here we check if the character has the rifle. So here's the rifle in hands. And in here we check if the character has pistol in hands. Rodrigo Scott saiu. Opa, bom dia. Bom dia. Como vai? Como está indo? All right, so let me just test it out to see if what's working. So if I pick up the pistol, let me just debug this real quick. Yeah, something here is off. Right here. Instead of the skeletal mesh socket name, we need to specify the other one, which is character socket. And just remember this character socket variable in here. If you go back to the weapon master, if you go back to the M4, let me just, I'm gonna have to open it up again. Weapons, pistol on H, and pistol on H child. As you can see here in the class defaults, here we specify the character socket, and this is the exact socket of where that pistol is going to be on the character's hand. So this is the name of the socket. You can create a socket by going into the character skeletal mesh, and here we have the hand R. So here you can create a socket based from this parent in here. So you can right click and add a new socket. And here you can, as you can see, I've already had already added the socket in here. And it works great. So let's just test it out to see if it's going to work now. So press on play, press F, and now the now the skeletal mesh is on the character's hand. So everything works great. If I press G, it's not dropping the weapon for some reason. Let me just see why. Okay, we have a lot of bugs. We have a lot of errors. Just see again. So press F, pick up the weapon. Let me just see where the G is. Where the G is right here. So, all right. So when I press G, I have to replace the pistol reference in here. So before, as we had another method of retrieving the real reference of the pistol, Now what we need to do instead, which is a better way and the most improved way, which is to get the BP weapon master, and we can use this for all kinds of weapons. So you don't really necessarily need to specify the weapon that you're dropping. You can just drop it and use the reference of the weapon master that you've promoted it before. So as you can see in here, we can just get the skeletal mesh and then plug and do the connections in there. I'm just going to get the box reference as well so that we don't get confused later. So I'm here, I'm going to just get the box reference in here. And this is going to be above, and just make the connections in here. And in here, as we're dealing with multiple weapons, we need to really specify which kind of weapon we're currently holding. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy another node, which is this one right here, which identifies exactly that, which kind of weapon we're holding, if it's the pistol, the rifle, or the bow. So I'm just going to copy that over to here. And from here, I'm going to just decide which boolean I'm going to disable based on the current weapon that we're holding. So this code here, the first one before the actual implementation that we've just done in here, this was supposed to be to check if the character has the pistol in hands. So we need that information to check. And we can just copy and paste this to here. This check is a little bit different because it basically checks which weapon we're currently holding on hand for dropping. So if the character is holding the pistol 1H in hands, then as we already done the action for dropping the weapon, we're going to disable it. Disable the HasPistol 1H in hands and found pistol. I'm going to do the same thing for HasRifle in hands. I'm going to turn this variable to false. I do not have a variable for found rifle. Oh, I have in here. Let me just see if it's being used. I'm just going to right click on the reference, the variable, called find the reference by name. And here I set in here, I've already done that. Okay, so we set that variable to be true as soon as we find the rifle. But as we're not using the DetectRifle function right now, I'm just going to delete that function. I'm going to just delete this function in here. Hopefully the engine doesn't crash. Okay, it didn't crash. But let me just see if this function DetectPistol is being used anywhere. So it's not. I'm just going to delete that DetectPistol. We don't need that anymore. As we created the weapon master, everything becomes easier. Now we can just scale it a lot faster. The tag identifier, let me just see if that's being used anywhere. No, it's not. So I'm just going to compile, save, and delete that function as well. So just by creating the weapon master, you can just, the code becomes a lot more cleaner, and it becomes a lot easier actually to scale and add as many weapons as you want by just creating the child reference of the weapon master, like so. Now for the rifle, we have a code that is a little bit different in here, but we also set the overlay state to be default because as soon as we drop the weapon, we want the character state to be default. We don't want the pose of the character to be either on the rifle or any other kind of weapon pose. We just want to go back to the default pose of the character, which is just the normal locomotion, the normal upper body blend. So for the rifle, I'm just going to delete this and just let these two variables that are very interesting. The found pistol variable, I think it's not used anymore. Let me just check it out to see. So when you holster the weapon, we turn that to be off. And we also just search for it again. Yeah, I think we're not using that at the moment. So it's not really necessary to have this variable in here. So I'm just going to delete this one. Found pistol, I'm just going to also delete this. We can use the weapon detected instead, just to check if the box trace has already detected the weapon. When you have a lot of graphs like this, I think the best way to organize this is to put the input actions on the left side. I know right now it's pretty much messy, but we can organize by putting on the left side, we can put the input actions, and on the right side we can put the actual custom events, so that we can organize things better. So as you can see here, these are custom events, and okay, this one is a little bit off. Just going to organize this a little bit. Now this is the drop logic. I think found rifle also, there's no variable in there, so I'm just going to delete found rifle as well, and also found pistol. We're not actually using them right now. We also need to replace these references here. So as soon as you press the Q key to holster the weapon, as you can see, we use the old references that are not referenced anymore. So if you try to click on the key, if you try to press the Q key on the keyboard, it's not going to work because we have newer references that are working instead of the oldest ones, which are those ones right here. So we need to replace those references. I'm just going to delete the... All right. So now as soon as you press the G button, as you can see, it works. The weapon gets to be simulated, and you can also try to, drag the weapon away. I'm just going to try to drop the rifle child to see if it's working, just to see if the physics are working and if I'm able to pick up the rifle as well. Okay, but the location is wrong. It's the holster location. So when I pick up, I think I'm typing the wrong location in here. Let me just go to copy the hand R rifle socket, and then go back to the rifle child, go to the class defaults, and then just basically change the character socket. in here. I'm just going to also add in the weapon master a new variable called character socket holster, or maybe character holster socket, so that we know which, so that we can differentiate the holster locations as well. So now I can pick up the rifle. Let me see if I'm able to drop it as well. You can see I am. Pick it up again. Drop it. But if I press Q to holster the weapon, as you can see, it doesn't work. So then what I'm going to do, I'm going to just set the holster locations for when the pistol is in the holster place. So as you can see, I've already have the socket for holstering the pistol. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that name and just go to the pistol child, go to the class defaults, and then in here, character holster socket, I'm just going to paste that in there. And I'm also going to do the same for the holster location for the rifle. So here, spine rifle. I'm going to type host rifle holster. So I'm just going to go back to the rifle child, and we're just going to replace that name in there. And now in the actual sandbox character, we could retrieve that information by getting the weapon master and getting the holster location, like so. And now we can go to the Q action event. Let me just, this could be deleted. We're not using this code right now. So this is the cancel weapon pickup event, and this is the drop logic. I'm just going to name this a little bit different, but it should be green, and this is going to be blue, just to set it to be a little bit more cleaner. And all the events, I'm just going to set it to the right side, and all the input actions, as you can see, this is the G input action. I'm just going to let it on the left side so that we can organize things better and pretty much be easier to find things better. As you can see, this is a pretty long code. We're gonna have to decide to, we're gonna have to collapse some codes a little bit later. So as you can see, if I press Q to holster the pistol, in this case, this code here is going to be executed. So it's called holster weapon macro. It's a macro that firstly detects, so firstly sets to block the movement input if this check mark is true or false. And then in here, I think again, we have the old way to, identify which type of weapon we're currently holding. So what I'm gonna do is just copy and paste that, or we could just, child go to master BP weapon master, and then we can get the weapon tag. And then from here we can get the switch so that we can display the available weapon types that we could, all the possible types of weapons that we could possibly have in here. And for the pistol is going to be in here, for the rifle is going to be here, and for the bow we don't have that yet, so we're just going to let it like it is. So if it doesn't have any tags, I'm just going to go to default so that as soon as you create a child blueprint of the weapon master, if you don't set up the, on the class defaults, if you don't set up the weapon tag in here, the rifle, if you go to the class defaults and if you don't set up the weapon tag, it is going to show as default, as the default value, so that if you don't have the weapon set up, the tag set up, it's going to show up a print string saying that we don't have any tags. So firstly, we have to identify which weapon tag we currently have, which currently weapon you're currently holding, what's the current weapon that the character has, and then based on that information, we're going to holster the pistol, and then from there we can set the character state to be different, and then holster pistol animation. Yeah, we're going to use the same animation that we have in here, which is going to be for the, you know, we can use the same holster animation for all different types of weapons, because right now the idea is just to make it work, other than refining the animations and hiring an animator to do all the perfect animations so that it looks great. So after we play the pickup animation, as you can see, this play montage works by, you know, just playing the montage, and then in the montage itself, we have a animation notify. We have a montage notify window. And then here in the details tab, as you can see, I've named the notify. I don't really need to do this. It's just that it becomes easier for you to be able to, you know, read and know what's going on after the starting and end points. So as you can see, we have the starting and end points that we can adjust based on the animation frame. And then you can basically put the starting point to be based on which specific time frame of the animation you want to holster your weapon. And you can also choose the blend in time and blend out time to, you know, best to have the best smoothing, to have the best blend time that you want to have. So if you don't think that the animation is playing smoothly, you can just try to change those values, increase the blend time, and change the curve values in here. Both are for the blend in, because as soon as the animation starts playing, and the blend out is as soon as the animation starts to end. Now in the sandbox character, I only use the information of the starting point. So as soon as the animation, as soon as the animation goes to that animation frame, so it's going to normally be played, and as soon as it gets to this frame right here, the starting point is going to be in here, which means that we're going to execute this code. And when we execute this code, which is going to be the actual moment where the weapon is going to be holstered visually, we're going to set some values in here so that it's going to work. It's going to make the pistol to go in the character's holster location, blah, blah, blah. Now for the pistol reference, as you can see, as I've told you guys earlier, it's a old reference, so we're going to just replace those references by getting the weapon master, and we're going to get the skeletal mesh of that weapon master, and then just going to plug it to the target, and we can just delete that like so. And then here it's going to be the mesh. Now as you can see, this is the holster pistol 1H location, so we're gonna have to change and get it to be based on the weapon master holster socket, which can be defined in the class defaults of the child blueprint. Now for the pistol reference, as you can see, we can also have the target in here, so just it's a pretty simple connection. And then from here we can do the same thing. So get the BP weapon master, get the box, and pretty much change the references in here. Felipe. Oh, sorry, I'm not seeing the chat. I was not seeing the chat before. Felipe Games, it's Salve. No, pretty much all the Brazilians know I'm Brazilian, so they're saying Portuguese. They're using Portuguese words. Salve. Leaning Blender. Blender can make root motion in Unreal as it. Blender can make on root motion. Do you mean the motion of the root motion? Are you talking about the animations, if they can make it? Yeah, you can pretty much make the root motion in the Blender, but I think it requires it to make it requires it to have some sort of degree of knowledge on how to use the Blender. But if you have an animation that doesn't have root motion, but you really have to make, you really have to know that the animation is, for example, if you get the sprint, as you can see, this animation has the root motion because it moves. If you go to the bones and all hierarchy, as you can see, if you go to the skeleton tree and click on the root, as you can see, the root moves with the character, as you can see right there. And that means that the character has the root motion because the root moves with the motion of the character, basically representing where the location of the character is. So basically the root represents the location of the character. And if you disable so as you can see, when the character moves, the root bone moves with the character. And if you disable the root motion and also disable the force lock, root lock, which is going to lock the rotation, or enable the force root lock. As you can see, if you lock basically the location of the root, the character is going to just move in place, which is going to cause the character to not move in the world at all. As you can see right here. So here's the character is moving in the world, but if you force the root lock, the character is just going to move in its place. It's going to move in the animation itself, but it's not going to make the character to move. Yeah, it's very hard to explain, but now there are some cases that the root bone, they stay in place. So as you can see, if the animation, the root bone does not move with the animation, as it's happening right here, the root bone is moving with the animation. But if it doesn't, then you need to download a plugin, such as this one right here. You need to download this plugin. It pretty much solves the issue that you have if the animation doesn't have the root bone. And so it pretty much fixes the issue of the animation not having the root bone, especially for mocap animations. It pretty much fixes the root bone. And after downloading this plugin, you can have the ability to add the root bone to move with the character. So yeah. So in here on the holster weapon macro, there is a catch in here, because as we're working with multiple weapons, we need to really specify at a certain time and update the right state based on the current weapon that we have. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this as well, because some states are they need to be set, but before they need to be set, we need to really identify which kind of weapon we're currently holding. So for example, in this state right here, where we set the HasPistol on HweaponInHands, we pretty much so in this case, if we're currently holding the pistol, and if you press the Q, we want to holster the pistol because that's the weapon that it's in the character's hands currently. But now if you have the rifle, then we'll have to get the rifle state, which is called rifle is in hands. So we need to update that state instead of the HasPistol on HweaponInHands. Of course, I think there could be better ways of doing this. Let's say, for example, I could create a weapon on the weapon master blueprint. I could create a variable, and I'm going to create a variable called isWeapon. Is character holding weapon, or maybe is weapon being held or held, is weapon being held, you know, those kind of booleans, just to check if the current weapon is being held or being holstered. I think we could also do that in the future, but for now, I'm just gonna keep it simple, as long as it doesn't disturb. Yeah, thank you. Have been researching this thing. Yeah, the thing about the root motion. Yeah, it's very complex at the beginning, especially for a beginner to understand what root motion is. Even I cannot explain as much as good as other people, but I try my best. Delete said, "Hi, how is everyone? Are you going to save the live? Yeah, all the lives are going to be saved, so that you can, if you want, you can rewatch." If it's necessary for you. As well, all the project files are going to be also uploaded to a server on my Patreon channel. So if you want to check it out, and all the other links such as GASP 5.5, the clean base, you can also get it in the fab. The weapon system project files that Polygons has made, the Polygon Hives GASP plus ALS demo for reference. You can, click on the link on the description down below so that you can get it for free. And also the Caleb Longmire's original ALS dev stream, you can all find on the description of this video. So anyway, let's get back to work. So here, I think it's best for us to just do everything in one place. So as you can see, I can do update the state right here. So in case if it's the pistol, it's going to be pistol holstered, and rifle holstered. Rifle holstered. That's going to be true. Louis said, "Thank you very much. No problem." Tribal chief. Dude, one genuine question. If you can help me, yeah, go ahead. So I can pick up the pistol, try to holster it. As you can see, it worked. Now if I equip the weapon, now it doesn't work because we didn't set it up and we have a lot of arrows. That's because we haven't set, as we've created the master, as we're using a different reference for the pistol, we don't have all the things in place yet, but we're going to do that right now. Tribal chief said, "When my boss dies, I want to remove his health bar widget. I tried creating its reference and did the remove from parent, but it didn't work for me." Yeah, I'm not sure. Did you have any errors when you replaced when you did remove from the parent? Because sometimes you need to reference it again to really make it work. I don't think you want to remove the widget. You want to destroy its instance in the viewport. Yeah, it can also work. If you have the reference, you can destroy the instance. So as soon as I equip the weapon, I play this function in here, which equips the weapon. I think in this case, we can also make another macro for handling the weapon equip. So I'm just going to go equip weapon macro. I think that's going to be a lot easier to manage it inside that macro. So I'm just going to cut that and copy it to here. Hopefully it doesn't break any references when I copy and paste that. Monster Mode said hello. Hello, what's up? How are you doing? So as soon as you create, just going to delete the custom event. I'm going to compile it. And as you can see, the reference is gone. It gives me an error, but that's no problem. We have the macro in here. I just don't remember which was the execution. Okay, it was the false. So I'm just going to connect it to the false execution in here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna also do the same thing as I've done in here. I'm just going to move the input to be based on the input of the macro, so that I can just check it in or off depending on what I want to do. If I want to block the movement input of the character for when the character is equipping the weapon, I can also do that, which means if you're equipping the weapon, it's going to make the character to stop before the complete execution. The nut said, I just tuned in, so you might have covered it. But how easy would it be to add FPP and ADS? First person, what is FPP again? FPP, I don't know what it means, FPP. Is a first person perspective? First person perspective. How easy it is to add. I haven't got to that part yet. So I don't really know what to tell or how to tell yet, because there is a version on that Polygon's Hive made, but I don't really know how he made it. I haven't explored it yet. Yeah, first person, yes. Yeah, I'm not sure yet, but probably not too much difficult. The thing about first person, as you can see right here on this project that Polygon Hive made, if I press 1, as you can see, it works great. Let me just reduce the sound of that. It's too much loud. Open volume mixer. Just going to reduce the sound. It's too much loud. All right. So as you can see, the first person on this project works really, really good. You can climb, you can do all sorts of actions. And it really looks like first person. I really like this. Now, when you get the rifle, it really works like the GTA 5 vibe. It has the GTA 5 vibe into it. I don't know really what makes it. Probably it's just because you're not using first person animation and you have all the, we have all the lag, the lag of the camera, so it makes it to look like GTA 5. Now aim down sight, I don't really know what it is. Yeah, I've heard about it, but I've never got to implement a function like this. Such a system. But as soon as I implement the first person camera, I'm going to take this as a reference point to move things over this project here. This looks good. Who made that? I didn't catch it. Do you mean the project that Polygons Hive made? This one? You can check it out. You can see on the description of this video. You can see that the Polygon Hive's GASP plus ALS demo for reference. So you can click on that link of YouTube. I can also paste that in here. So that's the version that he made. It's very good. You can check it out. You can download it for free and test it on your own and see how he made it. But it's very good. It has already all the ALS overlay systems already implemented. The only problems that I found that he also found is that the hands are not, sometimes the IK doesn't really work well. And the foot, as you can see, the character is on the weird pose, but this is because of the IK implementation, the IK conflict with, the poses of ALS and the relay systems. So pretty much everything is connected. They need to be connected, and if they aren't, then you need to make the changes necessary in order to make the system to be perfect. But overall, the system is pretty much good. It's pretty much done. You can have all the overlay states, and they all really work pretty good. You just need to add some corrections into it. So in here, after blocking the moving input of the character, I'm just going to get the weapon child, not the child, the weapon master. And then here I'm going to select, as we want to equip the weapon, we firstly need to identify which weapon we're holding currently. So you can get the weapon tag, and then you can get the switch. And then from here, you can select the necessary booleans and necessary states in order to actually, you can do this everything. You can do this after, just to not make everything confusing. I'm just going to place that in here so that it becomes a little bit more cleaner, and we pretty much know what we're doing. So here's the identify by weapon type. So here you're going to basically set, this code sets the right state, based on current weapon. I'm just going to get the IsHolstering rifle, if in case it's the rifle. And we're also going to set the overlay state. I'm just going to copy and paste that. And here we're going to set the overlay state of the rifle. Now here on the blend out, we're also going to do the same thing. We're also going to do the same. So we're just going to blend out. We're going to update the states again. Holster. Vyatten said, I think for first person, I think it's better to add separate hands. I've seen it done this way many times while hiding original arms. Yeah, I think adding separate hands, do you mean by adding the actual skeletal mesh and playing the actual first person animations? If so, yeah, this is the best way of making it so that it's a true first person perspective. It really gives the impression that it's really first person. And you can basically activate those arms. Yeah, you really have to synchronize those arms to make it to look good on the transition from going from the third person to the first person. Maybe you can hide some things and make some camera effects to hide the transition, but I think it's going to really look good this way, adding the separate hands and using the actual first person animations. It's going to really look good. Tribal Chief said, by the way, I'm creating one Souls-like indie game and I'm going to upload it on YouTube. Anyway, I can share it with you for feedback. Yeah, for sure. You can share it on the Discord server. All right, now those actions here are pretty much done. As you can see, we update the holster state depending on which weapon we're currently holding. So if it's the pistol, then we're going to holster and update the state. We're going to update the state of the pistol. So we're going to set the IsHolstering pistol to true as soon as the blend out is executed. But I think it doesn't really make sense. Let me see here. So this animation is played on equip. Okay. Let me just see if this is working, but yeah, I'm gonna have to test it out to see if it makes sense. IsHolstering pistol should be true, blend out, and okay. Yeah, we're gonna have to check it out to see later if this makes sense. Because I think this has to be true instead. We're gonna have to check it out later. As we have the debugging state in here, you can pretty much see what's going on in the game. So as you can see, when you pick up a weapon, as you can see, all the states are updated. So now I have the pistol. So as you can see, HasPistol1H is true. And as soon as a variable turns to be true, the text turns to be green, and it makes more sense. It makes it easier to visualize what variables are being set to true or false. So as soon as I get the key, as you can see, has all the states are being updated. So it becomes easier for you to visualize what's going on when you press a certain key. So in here, for the holster weapon, we have a collapsed graph, and that collapsed graph is executed as soon as the notify begin play is executed, depending on the animation frame, right? So if you go to that animation, let me just see. Yeah, let me just see how. If I holster the weapon and I just equip the weapon, this is actually equip. So what I'm gonna do is, as I want to get everything in place, I'm just going to cut this code and put this in here so that everything is set up. And I'm going to create a macro for equipping the pistol, but we've already had in here. Equip phase. So there is a holster and there is the equip. So for equipping, it does a little bit. We need to. Okay, so pick up the weapon. So holster, equip again. So you run this equip weapon macro. And then we have also this one. Yeah, it's right. Yeah, it's right. So I'm just going to name this collapse graph to name it to be equip action. And then in here, I'm just going to replace the reference. I'm going to get the weapon master. And in here, this is the actual equip location. So I'm just going to get the, what is the name of that variable? Is the character socket. I think I'm going to name that variable to be character equip socket. I think that's going to make more sense, but I'm not sure if we're going to basically reset all the values. But I'm going to try to set it to be character equip socket. I think that's going to make a lot more sense. Yeah. So as soon as you set a new variable to be different, so as soon as you update a variable, you're gonna have to update. So as soon as you update a variable inside the weapon master, you're gonna have to update the variable default value on the child as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy the rifle holster, the rifle location of where it's going to be in the character's hand. So I'm just going to select on that, go to the rifle child and paste the name in there. And we're also going to copy and paste the pistol location. Rifle child. Go back to pistol1H. and paste that in there. And now here we can basically get the equip socket so that we know that it's the equip socket that we want, and paste that in there. So here pretty much all I have to do now is just replace the references. All right, looks like we have another attach component to component, and this one is, okay, it's just set the actor transform. So I'm just going to copy and paste that to here. So that's going to be a lot easier to automate things and not having to manually type in every single blueprint the right socket location depending on which weapon we have. Pretty much automates everything. And I'm going to set this to be the last code because we're actually going to add another check in here. Let me just see. Okay, yeah, we don't have that. All right. Okay, just going to copy and paste. I'm thinking about to create a macro out of the switch, so that it becomes easier to just connect the inputs and connect the execution. But I think that's a thing for later. Don't need to really worry about organizing things better right now. Too much. Not think too much. If you think too much, then the code is never gonna be finished. Holstered. Hor said, so overcomplicated for no reason. It's possible to make it better with animation blueprint linking. Animation blueprint linking. Animation blueprint linking. Oh, I think I know what you mean. It's because as I want to have more flexible control on where and when exactly I want to have the upper body pose, I want to make it so that I can choose exactly when I want to make the upper body pose. Just switch. Monster Mode said, how do you access the properties of actor object reference? Like if I want to turn off physics simulate, but the pins are not compatible and there is no get actor skeletal mesh. How did you do this? The properties of the actor object reference. If I want to turn off physics simulate, but the pins are not compatible. Can you show me a screenshot of what you're trying to do? Because right now I can't really tell what's going on. What context do you mean? Are you trying to access the property actor, the properties of the actor as the object reference? Do you mean the animation graph? Because in here, if you go to the animation graph, you can see and get the property access. You can get the property access, and then you can get the sandbox character. And in here, from here, you can get the mesh, for example. And from here, you can simulate, but you're not going to do that in the animation graph. It doesn't make sense. So I think it's better for you to paste a screenshot of what you're trying to do, or just make a video. I think it's going to be a lot better. Rodrigo Scott said, I have been playing with cameras and adding some RTS top-down functionalities to ALS in 5.6 this week. That's good. For the weapon, once equipped, you would want to turn off physics and collision for a weapon. Yes, that's true. But the pins are not compatible? Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna have to see what pins are you trying to get, because for turning off, as soon as you equip the weapon, as you can see right here, equip weapon macro, we have the equip action, which is triggered by the event notify begin. And you can basically choose this hiding point in the animation itself on how and when that's going to be executed. As soon as you're playing the animation, the process of playing the animation, you can choose this hiding point and when exactly you want to execute the notify begin play. And then in here, I get I have to replace the reference as well. So I'll get the weapon master. So as soon as you can see the weapon master is in here, the actor, so that you can get the reference, for example, the skeletal mesh. And then in here, you can plug that directly into the target. And the pins are compatible. But if you try to, I don't know what you're trying to do. And from here, detach from component is in here, but now we have also the set simulate physics, which turns off the collision. So I get the weapon master and I get the skeletal mesh, and then I plug that directly in here. But if you have, in case if you have a static mesh, it doesn't work, I think. So let me just try to do that right now. Just add a static mesh. I think the static mesh cannot be simulated. Get static mesh. You try to, yeah, the static mesh also can be simulated. So both can be. Yeah, okay. Alrighty. It's alrighty. And then from here as well, I'm going to just move this out of the way because it doesn't make sense if I want to just do everything. I can just do everything in here. If it's the pistol, then we're going to plug this into here. HasPistol on the HWeaponInHands. Okay, that makes sense. And I'm also going to update it so that, oops, not the pistol. So I'm going to want to get the hands, HasRifleInHands state, boolean state to be in here. And there we go. All right, I guess now all the states are updated. I just don't really know. After the blend is out, the IsHolstering pistol variable is true. I don't know if that's gonna make sense, but we're gonna check it out. So we're going to equip the weapon, as you can see. Now, if I want to, of course, what I've done there is just, yeah, the leg is glitching a little bit, but that's okay. So after I pick up the weapon, I press the letter Q, and then if I press the letter Q again, it's going to equip the weapon. And now we have a bug there. Let's just see what's going on here. So in the equip action, oh yeah, I have forgot to replace the pistol reference. So I'm just going to do this. And let me just see if I have any other variable. All right. So let's press and play again. Here. So if I press on play, press Q and press Q again. As you can see, equips the weapon. And also now everything is working very much fine. If I spam the key, of course, the character is going to glitch. So maybe we could do a little prevent that real quick. So what we're gonna do is update the pickup state. Let me just see how the variables are set up in there. So close the weapon, pick up the weapon. I'm gonna have to debug these values here just to see if they're set to be true. Monster mode say thanks. Earlier I was trying to get the skeletal mesh for the active reference, but could find a node. I'm not sure what went wrong there. Thanks anyways. No problem. This could be deleted from here. So as soon as the animation plays, it sets this variable to be true, which it shows that the character is picking is holstering a weapon. It's a pistol, rifle. And as soon as that animation is blended out, we can set we just can just set those values to be off, to be disabled. And I think that's going to do the job. That's going to do the job. Now for the next time when we equip the weapon, we can use that information to check if the character is really holstering the weapon. So is holstering pistol and is holstering rifle. So if one of these values is true, so I get the or holstering pistol. If it's not, that means if the character is not holstering the pistol or it's not holstering the rifle, we can equip the weapon. Let me just see if that's gonna work. Yeah, now we have another bug, which is the holster. Equip pistol phase action interrupted. Equip pistol. Okay, this one here. All right. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to spend more time on this one because we also have to do some checks to prevent the bottom spamming. But I think this is going to be for the next live stream for now. Now if I try to equip or holster the pistol, now if I try to pick up the rifle, let me see if this is going to work. Okay. Now if I try to holster the rifle, as you can see right there, we have a bug now. because we don't have an actual code for that case yet. But I think we should, as this is fully automated, then I think this is not going to be oh yeah, something's wrong in here. Okay. I have been watching Giga. I'm not gonna say that name. Been watching your tutorials, been helping me a lot. Thanks. What are you doing this devlogs for? Tutorial material or on game? Well, those devlogs are supposed to help other people to figure out, you know, to learn something from perhaps from the process of the integration of the ALS onto the GASP system. So this is just going to be a tutorial material, for learning purposes, so that I can show people how it's done and show the process of, you know, the integration, and perhaps people can learn something from the tutorials, because I could just do this on my own without doing lives, but I guess I could think of doing live so that I can help other people by showing how it's done, and perhaps they can also learn something new. All right, I guess that's going to be it. I'm going to go now. I'm gonna have to fix this bug that we have right now. As soon as we add a new functionality and fix one bug, we might have other bugs that could come. So sometimes when you fix one bug, other 3 came on the way. It comes on the way. So as you can see right now, the character is able to pick up the weapon, but as soon as he picks up the rifle, as you can see, the rifle, we have a bug there that I don't know where I'm going to be able to fix it now. But this is going to be for the next live. I'm going to check out how the code is done in the backend and probably be able to fix it before I can actually go live stream. Before I can actually go live, so that I think that's going to be better for organizing things better. So yeah, that's going to be it, and I see you in the next live.